Hi, this is Dan Collins coming to you live from Traders Expo Chicago. Joining me is Dan Gramza once again, and Dan and I were just talking that we're here in July 2019, and just an interesting time for all markets. It's like, I know you look at all markets, Dan, so it's hard to pick on which ones. What do you see as the most interesting right now?
Well, I think our stock market's doing what it should do right now, and that we're waiting to see what happens with earnings. We're waiting to see what the Fed does, right? To see what their action is. Does it meet market expectation now of a 0.25% change? So I think the reaction that we're seeing so far, I think, is right on target.
Yeah, well, the analysis on the Fed I've seen is all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, the market has a consensus that they're tightening, or I'm saying that they're easing at the end of July, but some people say it's going to be one time. Some people say they may do 50 basis points, but some of the people believe that, think that's because they're not moving into an easing cycle, that it's supposed to be like one jolt, and then they're back keeping it even. Does this bring more risk in the market that the opinions vary so widely?
Yes, but also logical in the sense that the Fed has given us different signals. From one, the idea of we'll have easing. We're going to look at the economics, as they always say, and if it supports the idea of easing, we're going to ease. Then we hear some feedback from some of the members saying, well, you know something, maybe it's going to be a 0.25 point. And then we hear, well, it's going to be one and done. We're going to wait and see what the economics, which is probably what they are going to do, right? If you're them, you don't know the impact of lowering it until you do it. And then to let it kind of sort out. The market, on the other hand, would like to hear, we're going to start easing. I don't think they're going to get that message.
What seems a little bit scary here is everyone seems to forget the reason that the Fed typically would ease is because the economy is going in a downturn and may face recession. Now, people are bullish on their market and saying, "Oh, they're gonna ease and it's gonna be good for the market." It's like the point is on bad news, and that seems to be missing in this discussion.
Yeah, but you know, though, Dan, I think something else, and that's a very good point you're raising. But we don't have inflation. I mean, when they started increasing interest rates, I didn't have a huge issue with a 0.25 point. Where they started from isn't that big a deal, but we don't have the inflation parameter, which is a key benchmark for the Fed. So I think the Fed's got some room to back off in that regard. So I like the idea of them slowing it down a bit. I just don't think all the pieces are in place for them to justify the interest rates where we are. If we had higher inflation, I'm with you 100%. But we don't.
Well, Dan, you put out research every day. Where can people, our listeners, go to get your daily research?
I have a free video at dangramza.com. There's just a little registration process and just your email. And I put out a daily video that covers 22 different markets: stock indexes, interest rates, metals, energy, agricultural markets. And it's about 2 to 3 minutes, and it shows some red and green lines for me are as buy and sell levels or bullish and bearish levels. I'm not making recommendations, but trade recommendations, but I'm trying to provide someone with some insight in terms of how someone's approaching these markets. And if you trade only the E-minis, well, maybe you can see how other markets perform. Or if you've never traded futures, as you know, Dan, a place to begin is just watch them. So the daily video provides, I think, that kind of opportunity. That's the intent.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back to Traders Expo Chicago with Dan Gramza and talk about some specific trades and specific markets. This has been Dan Collins, live from Traders Expo with Dan Gramza.